Option is there, things you can see. Changed them to the new style. Some I sold, 2 of them I sold in complete shaft.
We did that to customers.
You did one, okay, good. But the option's there, there's lots of them out there, guys. Make sure we're telling our customers we can do it. Because it's a lot better to strip them gear, those shear bolts, and stripping them 2 sets of gears, because I think if I remember right, that's 600 bucks a shot every time.
They weren't cheap.
They weren't cheap.
Kevin was saying something about being able to tell if.
You can tell whether or not the shaft has a groove, whether they have the bigger eye bolts in it. He mentioned that to us the other day. So if it's got the larger eye bolts, then his shaft can take the without changing it. If not, then he has to change the shaft. Or make some altercations to it, which some guys did. Moving on to the next thing, guys, and this was another big issue we had this year, was separated grates. I know somebody said because of the season, but it hasn't been the season. We've had an issue from the very first 680 that went through got sold out of here, I do believe. Steffens, what'd they do, Wade? How many of these did they break? They broke a few of those separated grates on the old style. Haven't in a while, but right off the start they did. So basically, it's that very first row, guys. So after your concaves, the very first row of separated grates, there's 4 of them bolted together. And I don't know if it's a wad that comes in there or whatever, but it breaks that first section. It never really does much damage to the last 3, but that first one, we should be giving the customer the option to go to a heavy-duty grate there. The biggest thing when you're changing that grate, give them some advice. Make sure they pull out the second row, put the heavy-duty grate in, and then put the second row back in, because otherwise it's a struggle to get in there. That's what we found was the easiest way to change them. So the other thing about them is we can put these in interrupter bars, which they say help with straw and breakdown of threshing also. So it's an added addition. We've actually put a couple of, they call them disruptors, that we had ordered out of the States. We've been putting in a couple of combines for guys. Doing the same thing if you've got the old style separated grate. You can mount them in there, but with the Deere ones, we don't have to get them out of the States. We have our own option down in the bottom corner here. You just change this with this. So we have 3 options with that separator grate. First option is going to the Sunnybrook. The Sunnybrook one's running about $13.50. We had, we actually had 4 here. We sold all 4. But when Sunnybrook actually first came out with these, and they didn't have this, see this reinforcement bar in the middle here where my arrow is? They didn't have that there. And they kind of only 3/4 welded the ends of each of the tubes. And I had a customer here in Killam come to me, and he's like, I've got my separator grate you sold me, it's got 10 missing tubes. And he said, you know what, I'm lucky that one didn't end up going through one of my trucks, one didn't end up going through one of my grandkids, and somebody didn't get hurt. He made a very good point to me. But basically, he lost 10 of those little tubes in there. So I went back to Sunnybrook right away, and they said they would replace all of them that we had out there. So I have 2 combines done now. I got 2 more guys to go. But basically, anything in the future that they're going to sell us is going to have this reinforcement thing in here now, and they're welded more on the ends. So we don't have that issue anymore. So that's one option we got of putting in that first row. And then the second option, guys, is going with a John Deere heavy-duty grate. I've got tons of these grates in Killam. Please do not order them from John Deere. If you have a customer that needs one, I will get you one. All right, I could send you a couple from Killam to each store to have. I've got them in kits where I have been taking them out of there to use up the kits and save some money. I'm not going to say the same thing I said the other day because that could get me in a lot of trouble. But basically, same thing, guys. Replacing that first grate, $1,600. We've had a couple customers. I know Spillers, for example. They had one combine go. As soon as they come in, they never had an issue with that combine again. But guess what? They had another combine without it, and they busted those separator grates when they got a little tougher. He come in, give me another one of those, and never heard from from him again. But basically, that showed that it was doing what it should be. The third option was the three, putting in a third bolt, and you can see where I'm saying putting in a third bolt. Actually, it was funny, I guess Terry's has got the 3 bolts. We just did the corn. So it didn't break out the whole piece, but it did break out the grate inside the combine. So you're still gonna have to replace it anyway and tear it all apart. The difference with these is with the John Deere ones, you could probably just replace that one chunk and away you go. You don't even have to tear that out of there.
That's a frame with a bolted in insert is what it is.
Yeah.
Steel frame with a bolted metal insert. And
Correct.
the standards are a big 4-piece like that. They're cast iron, right? They break up like glass. They're meant to break up when they go through the chopper. They're designed to do that.
But at least this one here didn't break the outside steel where it was mounted, but it broke the inside piece, eh? So, and I think there's a price difference, guys. So if you replace all 4 of these, if I'm not mistaken, the price is probably $800.
Yeah, they're about $200 a piece.
They're about $200 each. So really, to change them up to a Sunny Brick or a John Deere Heavy Duty is probably his best option. And somebody said, well, it was just this season. It has not been just this season. We've had issues with those separator grates for as long as I can remember. And it's always been that first row and heavier horsepower combines.
Just make sure we're offering that option. It's not to call anybody down, but there was a customer we had to come in, I think it was in November maybe. I just happened to catch him walking out the door here, and he had one of these, they had 3 of these separator grates, just like that. 3 out of the 4 broke. And I said, stop. I said, let's, and that, it was Bob, right?
Yeah.
I said, Rick, do we have a heavy duty? So, yeah, it cost him double the money because he was gonna buy these for $600 and it cost him $1,350 or whatever to upgrade, but, you know, we got him into the right stuff, so.
Well, it saves them the labor of changing all next time.
Yeah, that's right. And he had one
Exactly.
of our techs out there actually waiting for these parts, so.
Well, another prime example was U-Hauls was in our shop. U-Hauls were originally given the option of the 4 of them to put back in because Lee forgot to do it. I hit up Lee. Lee said, oh, I'll give him a call. As soon as he phoned him and said about this available being options, U-Hauls were like, yeah, it sounds to me like it's a better option. If I keep the combine, I know I've got good product there. I hope it maybe Scotty will give me more money for it.
And in all fairness to us, the Parts Fish lists the separator grade kit, which is $5,800, which is a little tough to sell. Selling them individual is a lot easier, especially seeing as you only have to change the first one.
But, and I guess that the other option's there. If they do want to change all 4 of them, there is the grade kit that's available, $5,300. So if you look at that, $1,600 a piece, right? So if he replaces 4, what's that come to? That's roughly $6,000, almost $6,000 already, right? What is it? $6,400. So for $5,300, he's getting all the grates, the updated heavy-duty rail, which you should be that change it when you change all the grates. Plus, there's 24 tines in there, 8 boxes of tines. And I've been working a couple deals with customers, and I don't mind if you guys do it too. If they want to take the 4 grates out of there, if they want to buy that kit and return the tines, because Deere will take them back, because they're all valid part numbers with valid stickers on the side of them, you could end up selling them those 4 for like $4,000, and that's what I did to Pobeda when his combine was in here. I just said, well, I'll take the tines back. It's going to cost you $4,000. He had to replace the first one anyway, so really for $2,500. He did all 4 of his separator grates to the heavy duty, got the heavy duty upgraded rail in it, and I took his tines back and returned them to Deere. And I only gave him the credit of 15% less than cost. So basically, I got my money back out of him, from him, and I got the sale on the whole deal too. Right? Any questions on separator grates, guys? We got to be given the
Your
option.
parts inventory when you bought 42 times over your lifetime and returned 4,000.
What happened when that conversation comes from Deere? Actually, we end up selling lots of them thanks to Wainwright. They kept taking them off of us. Basically, discharge beaters, guys. Not much to talk about there. The other thing is that shaft back there on the premium residue combines. We keep that shaft keeps breaking to where the gear case goes on. Don't know what the problem is that causes it, but I think it's just the narrowing down of the shaft. This is the 4th time now, there's another new part number. So this is like the 4th time they've subbed up that shaft now. So hopefully this time here it's the answer of all answers, but probably not. Next thing we're going to talk about, guys, is the grain tank loading auger drive, which has been another major issue that we spotted this year. I think in the past it's been just with peas, but this year it was the whole season. One of the big fixes that we've seen right now is not selling this or this, but selling this for our customers because it's giving them a better drive system on the bottom. We're not sure what's causing the problem. I've been told it has to do with mud. We asked both sets of service departments here that we had the last 2 days.
We had about 6 different answers.
We had about 6 different answers. And I don't know if any of them are the right one yet. So, if your customers have ideas that think that's causing it, it'd be nice to figure out what we can do to try to fix the issue. We know that this will help, and that we probably should be going that way and no other way, and we should be mentioning it to our customers. Same thing now, that auger is now available through A&I. If everybody remembers what the deer price on it was, about $1,200. The A&I one's I think $800. So roughly $400 cheaper now. It wasn't available at the beginning of this year, but it is now. So, and the last thing that Brad talked about was this bracket. He's not sure, make sure guys are checking that they aren't bent and reinforced, because what happens is that pushes up and it bends that bracket up at the top too. And we haven't been selling any brackets, so I didn't know that it was doing it until Brad had mentioned that it was bending them pretty good. So
You guys just ended bending them.
We sold a couple to Richard Miller, but he really, we replaced everything.
Rick, that's been, you guys, kudos to the parts guys, because you guys do sell that better, the updated or the backdated one, like the 4-dog one, pretty much to everybody, because anytime I've asked anybody that's replaced it, it's like, what did you put in, see if they put in the 4, and pretty much everybody always gets the 4, so good job, and you guys, I don't know how you do it to make sure that they do upgrade it, but it seems like most of the guys that have got them do get the upgraded one, so it's...
I hit an email there at the beginning, middle of the season, and that's my intention. And I always say that, when you guys see a high fluctuation of something, like say you have a couple or 3, it's good to let me and Aaron know what's going on. And then that way there, we can shoot an email out to everybody and say, hey, this is the issue. We can try to get Brad involved and get a fix on it or whatever. I mean, this thing all started from a customer coming from Camrose. And he come to kill him, and I mean, it didn't fix his problem in the end because he's still having it. But he come here, I looked at it, and he said, geez, it'd be nice to have a 4 lug. And I said, well, geez, I know they used to have that on the 9770. I go back in the store, I grabbed the one, went back outside, we measured it up, we looked at it, we slipped it into the auger, and he goes, well, why the hell wouldn't I have that? Why do I want this thing with 1 pin on it? And I switched him over to the 4, and that's kind of where it started from, right? So I mean, it's when you guys figure out stuff like that and see different options, let everybody, let me know or let Aaron know. So
We've got to be a little bit more careful. One of the techs brought it up. Remember, this is on the folding hoppers.
Yes.
Where this pulls away and that connection goes away, right? You bring unfold your extensions and your auger comes back up. Well, when you only have the 1 tab there, the 2 pin on the end of the auger that's going to hit that 1 tab, it's going to fit a lot easier. It's got to fit perfect when you have a 4 pin or a 4 cog, right? Because you can bind up there pretty darn easy. Because that was made, that 4 cog one was made for one that doesn't fold away. That's why they went for the one time, is because it does fold away. So we gotta look into that a little bit more before we're across the board promoting this 4 pin.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, but Brad, they have a sensor that tells you the windshield wiper's not working, and they don't have a sensor that tells you that thing's not spinning. If that thing gets on top, or if that dog's ate and that auger doesn't spin, then it just plugs everything, right?
Yeah, well,
and
burns
burns
your
it.
clean
So then
grain
why doesn't it
elevator,
tell you?
everything.
There should be something that says that thing's not spinning.
Yeah, we could have just a speed shaft sensor on that.
Like I say, there's freaking sensors for all kinds of stupid shit.
But I
that and
I agree with that,
but
but the problem is, I'm talking about when it joins back together, you have this fork, and this comes together, if it hits those cogs, it's gonna force down and it's gonna bend that plate up and it's not gonna mesh together, right? It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
If it come apart, mesh, it should go back together, mesh, how would it move?
Well, that auger can spin.
Yeah, who's gonna get in there spinning?
Just driving down the road, it'll vibrate, it has to vibrate half an inch and it's out.
They do list the forecog on the European version.
Doesn't have
Just
the
not on
fold
the
he
North
said.
American version.
Does it have the folding?
Now that I don't know, I
T670.
didn't know about the problem, but I
What
know
would they
when
have for
you
a cog?
spec where that 4-pin
That's
is
one I
used,
haven't looked
it
at.
comes
I was
up
gonna
on
look at a T670 and see what.
I have a personal, well, I don't know. Every one that I've seen is the housing of the auger is all crudded up with green mud, dirt, whatever. And I have a theory, and I have to figure out the physics of it. I think that auger is walking itself out, so it's pulling that joint apart, and that's when you're getting your disengagement. Everybody that I argued with on Monday, Tuesday says, well, that auger is pushing grain up and it's forcing down. Yeah, I agree that the grain is forcing it down, but if that auger is grabbing on the outside of that flighting, and that basically, or not the auger, the flighting is grabbing on the outside of the housing, and that housing is made smaller because of dirt and crud, I think it could be screwing itself out, therefore making that joint a little bit looser, and that's when you get your disengagement. But I have to think about that.
Try that with dry sand.
Hey?
Try it with dry sand.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it with something. I just actually give mine away to Bailey and yeah.
Okay.
Anyways,
Anything?
that's, yeah, we have to look into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's gotta be a fix, because we've lost combine sales over it, believe it or not.
Nope. Next thing, grain tank, loading auger. We've had lots of them, broken shafts, everything. Making sure, guys, when we're sending these out to our service departments or sending them out there, we're always sending the pulley, the keyway, and the nut to go with it. Every case, the pulley's usually been toast after the case has been, the gear case is broken or gone.
That's that big aluminum one.
Yeah. One last thing, or a couple of last things, was the paddles at the back. I don't know if I mentioned it last year, but the funny thing I found out about the paddles is the difference between Deere and Redicop is Redicop has a patent on the straight blade but cannot sell the paddle blade. Deere has a patent on the paddle blade but cannot sell the straight blade.
See, there's what we're talking about.
Of a full set deal or something. So basically,
Is that the difference between a,
Full flank up and
yeah,
the dance part.
yeah, they're different number stationary knives.
Okay.
Sorry, that was just a question earlier.
44 or 48.
Well, our stationary knives 39 to
Yeah.
49,
Yeah,
right?
the stationary knives,
yeah. That's the stationary straight ones.
Yeah, like one of them has 100, you know, between paddles and blades. The other one only has 52, right?
It takes 120 horsepower to run. The bad power guys.
Yeah. Is that why some guys don't like it?
Under full load.
See, a lot of guys, some of the guys changed them all over to straight blade too, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Because then that way there's less horsepower needed because you got less wind being
Yeah,
created.
you pull your knife back down, you don't need.
Yeah.
That's why they moved the wing to the bottom.
What's that?
Wings were when they used to be on the top, or like on the end of it, that created way too much, took way too much power. That's why they moved the wings the other way.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
it used to be out on the end.
That took way too much power.
Lots of guys say that going with the straight blade doesn't make a difference to the paddle. They're straight, they got enough wind there anyway, but it's basically on their straw residue what they want to do, right? Whether they want to stay with paddle to get better air to move, or whether they want to go with the straight blade. The Redicop is definitely cheaper, it's an option, but that's the difference. They don't have the paddle, they're all straight. Yeah, I have some. I do.
There was
Okay.
6,000 acres
One, going back through the back thing, we talked about the slip clutch on the active tailings. If you gotta replace that slip clutch, you gotta go to the new slip clutch with the new pulley. You can't, there's no option of the old and the old, it has to be updated to the new. Endless drive chain, we talked about that last year, not selling regular chain in that case on your tailings, your active tailings. Little bit of talk on the shoe and chopper frames. Make sure your customers know that they bolt together and they don't come all put together, because a lot of customers think because of the old Walker series or the series that they used to come as a complete frame, that these other ones should come as complete frames. They just come in boxes. Different serial numbers, different things. Somebody asked me the question the other day, what causes that? Them chopper and shoe frames to go? I think it's an hour thing. Combine hits a certain amount of hours, and guess what? It's your day. It's not the customer. If you have a customer that has 2 or 3 of these happen like within no time of each other, we got other issues. Because usually it's replace this, and the customer is good for another whatever 1,000 until his next hour thing hits that these shake out at. The one last thing you guys didn't talk about, Brad touched a little bit on it, was Draper sensors. And these two numbers here, this AXE 57294 and an AXE 57295, those are actually new numbers for Draper and Flex Drapers. We've been having a ton of issues with these guys. The comments on, if you look at those part numbers, they say they're a longer lasting sensor. So we have old part numbers in stock. We have new part numbers in stock. One of those old part numbers has to be used in another series, but we should not be selling. When it comes to those sensors for these Drapers and Flex Drapers, we should be selling our customer the new updated number that's there.
You got a lot of notes to put into your part stuff.
Why?
Well, you'll have this noted for everybody, right?
Well, you did have it noted in there, didn't you?
No, in your parts thing.
Oh, in the new system you talked
Yeah.
about. Oh. So make sure when you go back, these are 2 new numbers. I'm not ignoring it. What's that?
Well, it doesn't always work this, well, I'm not saying about these sensors, but a lot of sensors are used in different things, and it actually slows you down when the notes pop up, I find,
So make
if
sure.
they're not applicable.
That's all I'm gonna, when your customer phones in, what should we be telling that customer? Hey, we got a new updated sensor, it's been changed up. You know, it says it's better, longer lasting, so because our customer knows he's already bought 3 of these in the past 2 years, and he's not happy with what he's getting anyway, right? It's subbed up in the computer fish, yes. But the old part numbers are still available. Nobody has the new part numbers in stock. I already looked at that, so. Except for Killam has some of the new one part.
The new parts thing is gonna help us out a ton.
All right, and I think that's all I have. Any questions for me? Anything I missed that,
If anyone wants to look, we do got some of those Sunnybrook concaves downstairs, like the new. Or, separator grates.
which kids? You know what, I think that's what we're gonna do. We'll put a kid in each store. So you guys all have one. Whatever you wanna do with it, it's up to you. Okay, any other questions? If not, thanks guys for your time today. Hopefully she all goes well.
So,
Go hard.
what time is it?
Home time, 3:30.
No, you guys got hour and 15. We're gonna have to hurry Maddie, we're gonna have to hurry Coffee, we're gonna have to hurry me outside. And then we got that test to do. Do you want me to
It took so long.
I took so long.
So Maddie, you're up, buddy.
Hey.
Okay, I breezed through the statements yesterday, so I'll try and do the same today. Hey.
You had a good suggestion.
See you.
Bottom of our parts invoices, making sure that we change and put the warranty thing on there.
Yeah, that'd get the word out quick.
You're the big one.
So, sorry for interrupting, but Derek had a great suggestion.
He's the top salesman of the year then.
Yeah, thanks. I get a bonus?
That's 2 words.
Yeah.
That was it.
2 words.
We're gonna do precision ag and kind of expo training here in January, so I just thought I'd get up here and talk about a couple of quick points on precision ag for harvest equipment anyways. Not much in the way of displays is changing. 2630 is still the most current. We run the Gen 4 on the new 9Rs right now. Gonna see that in other models here in the future. The new 6000 had come out about 4 months ago. We've sold about a dozen of them, so there's some of those out there. One of the big ones is the MTGs that have come out on equipment since about 2012.
Explain to them what an MTG is.
In 2012, when they brought out the S series and R series tractors and combines, each unit got an MTG in it. An MTG is kind of a telematic controller that ties to all the controllers of a machine, so that your engine controller, your cab controller, your LC1, LC2 on combines, those all communicate to the MTG and then wirelessly sends that data back to our computers. When they first came out, it was kind of like a phone. We got the 2G that was out, and basically the lights have been shut out on the 2G at the end of 2016 here. So we've got probably about 150 of those machines out there right now, maybe close to 200 with the 2G on there that are completely expired. The 3G's been out for a little while now, and it's due to be lights be shut out on it at the end of 2020. So John Deere came out this fall with a 4G LTE MTG. So kind of like your phones, we always have to keep upgrading these MTGs to keep up with our current cellular packages. What do I want to say now? We have probably about, I don't know, we probably have 300 and some 3Gs out in our area. And probably half of them are expired, half of them still have subscriptions that are going to expire here probably the next year or two. So John Deere's come out with a plan they're calling it light up the fleet. So basically we're gonna be allowed to go out there and turn the subscriptions back on for these 3G MTGs. And when we turn that on, that's gonna stay on till the end of 2020. So that kind of comes in, we're talking to the service guys yesterday where Deere's really pushing, and we're gonna be kind of graded on how much remote support we do for our customers out there in the equipment. So there's gonna be more capabilities of this MTG for us to support it remotely. So the goal of this is to make sure that we can get on as many of these 3Gs as we can, turn them on, that we can go out there and upgrade all these 2Gs to maybe 3G or 4G so we can get them lit up as well and show kind of how much remote support that we can offer our customers. For the sales guys, I don't know if they know this or not yet, but in 2017, John Deere kind of changed the way they do their subscriptions again for JD Link. So now it's called a JD Link Access plus RDA. So anybody who buys a 2017 machine will get 5 years of JD Link Access plus RDA with it. So if they have a 2630 in their cab, we can dial into the shop and see what's on their screen. Techs can dial in and pull codes before they go to the field. Parts people can see what serial number the machine is to see if there's a break on a belt or a chain or a part that's on there. What else? There is, again, anything on that part? Serial number?
Well, like sales, do you guys use JD Link now some, right?
A little bit. So basically, they're gonna do that JD Link Access plus RDA and included in that new machine for the 5 years. The first year, you're gonna get the JD Link Connect subscription, so they've separated out the shared coverage map and wireless data transfer. So if a customer still wants his data to go from the machine to his office, he's still gonna have to purchase that JD Link Connect subscription. And they're still looking at about, with the dollar exchange now, about $600 a a year per machine. So we're kind of still in that range, but this is a pretty good offering. I think that there's a lot of value there. It's another touch point to go back and that we can talk to your customers about. The IS group is going to sit down, we're going to kind of come up with a list of machines that have expired 2G on them and 3Gs that are kind of expiring, and go out there. We're going to try and get all of those turned back on, and Deere's really doubled down on this. They've made no bones about it. This is their stepping stone into the future. They really want us as dealers to utilize it on the IS side and kind of Dealer of Tomorrow side. We're being judged by Deere on how many renewals we can do, how many times we connect up to a machine. So I guess really we're asking your help to help us connect with machines and really start utilizing JD Link.
Going forward, our IS group, to turn these on, we have to get permission. The ones that are blocked, we have to get permission from the customer to turn on his machine. Because it's his machine data. I know we're gonna get some negative kickback, but if we can get some positive reinforcement from our group in here, it'll help going forward. Because like it or not, if you guys don't agree with it or agree with it, it's the way of the future. So that's just how it is.
It's like carbon capture.
Yeah, so it's just like Brad said, it's where we're going, and we all have to embrace it. So when we get into the January training through Precision Ag, I'm going to try and teach you guys a whole lot more about it. We're going to maybe work with the MTG, transfer some data back and forth, and really get into what information we can pull out of there so that we can go back and show our customers when we're out there or at their farms, or if they come in and are at our counters.
So when we light up this MTG, it's going to give us your JD Link data, like your machine data. It's going to allow service to do service advisor remote, but it isn't going to allow our connect without a subscription. We're not going to be able to get yield data and stuff like that. That still is going to be a yearly subscription, right?
Based, yeah.
Yeah.
So is all that, some of these units that aren't turned off that are black right now, is all that machine data stored locally? So when they turned on, they'll be able to access that? No, it's.
Any machine that's, say, a machine blacked out 2 years ago, there's not 2 years worth of data that's gonna come through when you turn it back on. Well, that's lost.
Does the customer only have to choose one dealership too, or can they have more than one?
There should basically in the background of it, you always have your responsible dealers, so obviously we want to be the responsible dealer for our machines out there. But there's so many machines out there that, say, some of our customers are buying from service or buying from an auction, and they'll come into our territory. So I'll see that it's in our territory, then I'll contact the other responsible dealer to get them to put that terminal in our account so we can transfer it to that customer.
Like we have customers that deal with Camrose and Stetler.
Yeah.
So if the Stetler's a responsible dealer, but he gives us permission, can both dealerships look at his combine? Or only the one he chose for the responsible?
Only the one he chose as a responsible dealer will see it in the JD Link website. But in the background, all dealers are check marked so that we can do remote support for them. So we're good there, but that's a very good question.
So it'll only show up on the dashboard of the responsible dealer.
That's right. But like for the service people, when they go in and do updates on machines, they can go into the software website and it'll show them what updates need to be done on that machine, and it'll show them what if it has an active JD Link subscription, which updates they can send remotely.
So can you do program updates remotely then, or updates?
Yeah.
Some of them aren't
Anything?
remote. Anything that doesn't need a calibration after you do an update, you're gonna be able to do remotely. And I'll tell you what, like I keep going back, whether we like it or not, there's gonna be more functionality. They're gonna be forcing us to do this. That's just the way it is.
But you can't just push it to there without them hitting OK on their screen, right?
You can push it there, so when they turn their key on,
Yeah.
it'll show up on their screen, and then they have to accept the download.
But they
and then-
can choose to ignore it.
Yeah,
too, can't
they can choose to ignore it, and then they have to choose to install it as well. So So they can download it while they're in the field and they're seeding or combining, and then when they're warming up for the next day or shutting down for the night, they can accept it then, or so it doesn't shut down their operation.
They're envisioning in service, you know, the farmer phones in, he's got an issue, a tech can go online, look at the error codes that are coming up on his combine or tractor or whatever, so the tech has an idea of what he's maybe needs out there for parts or tools or whatever. You know, you get your information off your machine, and before he goes out, he's more prepared. Sometimes might just have to push a software update remotely and never even has to leave the shop.
They also say the expert alerts that are coming, it will say it'll be giving it this code and this code, and because it's giving this code and this code,
Look
look for this sensor. So they'll give the sensor part number, sensor everything, and say, and the mechanic will know that he needs to take that sensor out there with him, and that's where he should start.
Yeah,
And that's free, there's no subscription for that?
No, that's
Not
gonna
right
be
now.
included 5 years in base on new machines going forward. And then on these 3Gs, that's gonna run till the end of 2020 till they black them out. And obviously the 2Gs have already been blacked out, so we just have to try and upgrade the 2Gs preferably to the 4G, so you get that longer life cycle out of it.
Wade, related to when you have your iPhone and you get an iOS update and you push the button and it's going to update for you, how would you like it every time if you had to pay a guy from Camrose Electritel to come out and push that button for you to update your phone?
You were reading my mind, but if you were reading it backwards, I was thinking the service truck. Just get in the truck, let's go out there, the guy's got a problem. Instead of looking here first what his problem is, and it's like not using DTAC before you start digging into the problem.
I think they're envisioning to be proactive instead of reactive.
Okay.
So how come we don't get those emails anymore? Because we used to get them all the time and now I don't see one.
When JD Link first came out, I thought that the best way to handle all the alerts, because we learned that there was like 12,000 alerts per machine when they first came out. And so I sent it to the service managers, service writers, and the salesmen of that appropriate store. And the feedback I got right away was they're just over bombarded with too many, because there was no filtering, so you'd get anything from operator at a seat to stop
Fuel
again, it's
level.
gonna blow, yeah, or fuel level. So I kind of quit doing that for the last 4 years here. And now they're getting better with their alerts. Now you can filter them. Now we're getting to the part where there's expert alerts where they're gonna start telling you, like Rick's example, these 2 codes have come up, take this sensor with you because chances are this sensor could be going on the machine. Just the machines are getting a lot smarter, so I'm at that point again where I have to work with Randy a little bit, and we're gonna try and put something together how to get those alerts back out to you guys.
One question that was brought up in service, when they do spend time on a, you know, you're logged in on a work order or somebody phones in and there's an issue, that time that they spend looking up a code or whatever, we have to figure out a way for, you know, billing of that. Or if you happen to solve a problem remotely, that's just not pro bono, we have to be able to charge for that. So internally, we have to figure out how we're gonna handle that and how other dealerships are handling that, right? Because I'm not really familiar with some of the guys were saying it's put on their call sheet, or you guys bill it as something internally as just on the phone with the customer, and it's really not billed to anybody, but in lots of those situations, it's gonna have to be billed to somebody.
Service then eats that cost.
That's right,
Or whether it's 5 minutes.
and
or
that's what they were
an hour.
saying, we can't have that if we're gonna be doing this more often,
I
right?
think your option would be to get a credit card number up front, because otherwise you're left with creating a work order, putting a time punch on it, and mailing it, hoping they pay it.
It's gonna take time to iron this all out, and it's, you know, that's why we have these training sessions and these meetings through winter, so we can all talk about kind of what's up and coming and how we all can work together to kind of resolve these issues, because there's a lot of different ways we can skin this cat, and with everyone's help, we should be able to figure out what the best solution's gonna be for the customer and for us.
You probably can't answer this question today. For example, today I had a customer come in today at noon when I was downstairs. He has a tractor that's going into D-rate. And a service guy has to go out there and run codes or run some sort of an update or something to get his tractor to go, to get, so he can even start it.
He has to do a manual regen.
Would that be something that's gonna be done over remotely? So his thing to me today, prime example, was every time Ken Fleck goes out there, or the mechanic goes out there, it's costing him $400 for a mechanic to sit there for 4 hours, the cost of getting out there. So there is a prime example where this remotely, JD Link, where we can remotely go on and get his tractor going from here. We don't have to send somebody out there, and they're up and going.
I'm almost guessing that with Service Advisor Remote, we could do that from here.
And that's here now, or is it coming? It's here now.
That's
As
here
long
now.
as he has an active JD Link subscription.
And that's something where I think, where I look at it today, the customer's right, $400 is a lot of money. If we could do that for $100 and have to do it, he's probably not as concerned as he is with the $400 bill he's getting every time.
Yeah,
And-
probably 200,
Huh?
an internal 200.
It's gonna get better, it's gonna get easier, we're gonna become more proactive, and our customers are really gonna appreciate that, so. You know, other technologies that are coming, in the 2018 Combine, we're gonna get, it's called active yield. It's where the Combine will automatically calibrate the yield on the go. So that's gonna be something new and really great, so we want to do those multi-point calibrations that were pretty annoying to the customer. And just to keep up with the technology, could be a combine in our area this fall that's they're nicknaming Einstein, and they're nicknaming it Einstein just because they're putting so much technology into the cab. It's just going to keep building off of this JD Link platform. So I don't know what it is. That's all I've been told, but they're pretty excited about some of the technology that they're putting in there. So I guess we'll see what happens this fall. Just see if we get a chance to see this combine and work with it and see some of these other advancements that they're coming out with. So kind of exciting time to be working with equipment and working with the data that's coming off of this equipment. So I guess with that being said, if there's any other questions or comments, and other than that, I think it's a quick coffee break and then outside.